Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, it's time to batten down the hatches and get ready for a wicked winter storm. Happy President's Day, everybody. Well, at least when I filmed this, it was President's Day. Had the day off of work, and rumor has it, I just might have a couple more days off this week because we have a very big system coming through. We had about an inch of snow today, which just kind of brushed through real fast. We shoveled everything off, and that's easy for us Minnesotans. But what's coming? They're talking 12 to 18 inch amounts in parts of south and western Minnesota, heading up towards the metropolitan area. We could have a snow day on Wednesday. If not Wednesday, for sure probably Thursday, because the bulk of the heavy stuff will be Wednesday afternoon through Thursday morning. I might have some time to work on some trees. But in case I do go to school and it's a normal week, I thought I'd putz because I'm getting a little bit of that withdrawal symptoms, and I need to putz with a couple of trees. So we have a whole bunch of cuttings from my Portugal-Carya Afras that I want to take care of in a little bit. So a quick shout out to Ottenbros and all the folks that came out this past weekend to the Portugal-Carya Afra workshop. I have a couple of pictures of before we got to town, and then I was working with one of the assistants at Ottenbros, Linda, and she took a couple of pictures while we had actual people there to prove that we actually did this, but I completely forgot to turn on my camera. I got so into the bonsai, as it should be, that we didn't have any footage. But I'm going to do some PA cuttings, and so we can talk to that, how to deal with that 6 months after those were clipped for those folks who were just at the workshop. We got some really fun trees out of the PA workshop, and I hope everybody had a lot of fun. I sure did. I could have gone on for hours and hours. As always, nothing new, right? Right here in front of me, I have my brush cherries that were pruned, I think, pretty close to when I brought these in October. So they've had 3 months to just sit here. There's a fair amount of new growth on here, but nothing major. But I'm just going to go ahead and just tidy this up a little bit before we tackle the PAs and any other updates I might bring for you today. So I'm just looking at where there's just some real obvious things that I'm just going to go ahead and take on off and make sure that they are going to be in good shape to push out when we start to get a little bit more light in here, and I've added a little bit more heat, as I've mentioned before. So these are just 5 trees in here. This is a dual trunk here, really nice and solid, and then 4 other ones, and they're going to slowly start to thicken up. We have a nice little bud right down here. That's kind of neat. There's a nice bud down here and back here where you can't see it by my scissors here. This one's tried to grow out, but I don't know if it's really going to leaf out, so that's kind of interesting. So we're just going to give this a good old little trim. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a peek at these and see what needs to be trimmed back. Anywhere there's 3 branches, I'll cut back down to 2. If there's inside, like this one right here, this one's growing straight up inside here, competing with this one right there, we're just going to trim a couple of those. So I will do that over the course of the next few moments. Maybe we'll put a little music to this segment. I've gone and tidied up the brush cherry trees, and they're looking all nice and small and compact and miniature. And so this little tiny row, this almost hedge of a forest, if you will go ahead and keep growing. What's nice about this kind of work is that it's real light, it's nice and relaxing, and when you've got too many branches growing in one area, you can just cut them back. A lot of time in these the ficus plants and this brush cherry, which is not a ficus, they have the leaf that grows right underneath the branch. You just cut that leaf off so you can balance out that energy, and then you're just picking and choosing where it's going to grow next. So when you start from a seed, or you start from a yearling, or you start from a cutting, what's nice about that, slow growing, yeah, meticulously slow. Sometimes you can put it in the ground to make it grow faster, put it in a bigger pot to make it grow faster, fertilize a lot to make it grow faster. But you have every bit of control. So if you want it to grow this way, you're going to cut this branch off and leave this one grow. If you want it to grow that way more, you cut this one off. You decide if it's going to grow front, back, left, right, whatever you decide is where that tree's going to grow. So like this little one right here, it might not be able to be picked up on camera so much there, but the bottom of it has a little movement already. It's subtle. Only this far off the ground, it kind of goes up like this a little bit and then curves this way. You just get subtle movement when you do more clip and grow. These are all a bit more straight, and then this one has a little bit more of an angle to it, and as it starts to swell in the bottom and the roots grow, we're going to have a nice swell and a nice swoop. So just cutting these up a little bit, sometimes just cutting that tip off to continue the growth and some of the ramification down low. And again, we might not even keep half of these branches. Who knows what we're going to do. So there is the brush cherry. And these grow at the Como Conservatory all year round in a greenhouse situation. So I have them in my plant room with the warm heat now in the 75 to 80 range, and everything is looking pretty good. So we're going to put this on the back on the bench. Now I'm going to grab my Portulacaria cuttings from about 6 months ago, and we'll work on those next. So about 6 months ago, I took my Portulacaria afras and gave them another trim. I trim them quite often, not as much as Gilbert Cantu of a Little J Bonsai YouTube channel, but we put them into this great big bonsai flat, big pot, and they've been growing pretty good. I think I've trimmed them here in the plant room at least once over the winter here to kind of bring them back down, and we're getting some that are dividing into nice bifurcation there into twos. So we're going to do something with these right now. As previously mentioned, just a couple days ago, I had a Portulacaria workshop at Attenboro's in Long Lake, Minnesota. So for my Minnesota viewers, there are a lot of really nice thick-trunked PAs for sale. They've got 3 different varieties for you. You got the real big, or real basic starter, I should say. Got the middle of the road with a whole bunch of branches going up along and leggy. And then there's these really nice trunks that have some good thickness to them and just some really fun trees. So head out to Attenboro's for your PA bonsai. Very, very cool to have the workshop. We had some great folks out there. 6 months ago, I had put my cuttings from my PAs into this pot so I could get a whole bunch of more cuttings to have for other workshops down the road. And so we're working on our propagation techniques. And they asked me at the workshop, what is the success rate for your PAs? And really it's close to 90%, 95%. There are some times when I've put cuttings in, I've gotten probably all 10 of 10 to grow and get some roots. And I did dig one of them out of these right from the middle area here to bring to the workshop to show them kind of that progression from about 6 months to a year, 2, 3, and up to about 5. And that was really nice, powerful little tool there. So I'm going to start to dig these out. So I need to grab a tool that I can do that with. Yeah, I think I'm going to use the screwdriver here. So these are in a big pot. So one of the challenges sometimes with too big of a pot is that the roots will just go really, really long and leggy all the way out there. We want to get them more confined in a pot like this. So this is the pot that I have a whole bunch of extra of, and we're going to put those in there today. So I don't know how many I had. I think I had 30 some, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to loosen up some of this soil. Now when I took out the first one, it was really hard to get out because the roots were really long, 3, 4, 5 inches long, and it kind of wrapped around, and they were tucking in amongst the other cuttings in here. So I know that I'm going to have to really loosen this up pretty good and joggle some things around. They're starting to move around now. And then we'll start taking them out one by one, and we're going to give them into their own pot. So I could leave these in here all winter long and then bring them outside all summer long and they would still grow, but I want them again to have more individuality as far as their root system in this pot, and so I can just go ahead and make sure that they're available for people as they're going to need them. And so I'm going to make sure that they're all in individual pots here. There we go. And then they'll be on their journey to become pre-bonsai. We have our scissors in case we ever have to do any cutting. I've got my soil down below me. I'm going to use some big soil for the very bottom, so I don't even have to use some drain screen. These holes in the bottom are pretty small, so just one little layer of the bigs, because I have so many extra bigs, and that'll go ahead and provide that base layer. And then we'll have the smalls for the rest. Yeah, just like that. Just enough in there to kind of cover that bottom, and we'll use some smalls for the plants going in there. Let me grab that soil. I have my small soil, I have my big, I have my pots, I have my cuttings. I was going to call them yearlings, but they're not even that yet. And we're going to start taking them up and see what we can find here. There. So here I have one PA with about 5-6 roots on there. All pretty much from the same area. One here from the bottom. We're just going to fold that over. We're not going to cut any of these roots today. We're just going to put them right back into soil. Now remember, when you take your PAs and you put them in a pot like this, if you cut any roots, we're not going to go ahead and water these if you cut them. I did not cut these. They were pretty dry. I'm putting them in dry soil. We can water these when we put them back in here or another tray I have, and we'll get them situated. Because when you have a cut root system, you want to make sure that that root system has the chance to callus over. And so when you do that, you're not going to get root rot with your Portulacarias. So susceptible to root rot, not as common as in just your common jade, but they will have some root rot. Look at this one right here. See, there you go. There's one of those 4 or 5 inches of roots. Now that one I will cut off. I'm going to get that a little bit smaller right there and there. So nothing too major, but I did cut a couple roots. So this one I have to put in a separate pile. I'm going to hold off and not do any watering on this particular plant for maybe 3-4 days here, okay? So I've got some bigs, just that, and then I've got some little. And as I put it in there, I made sure that the roots are not just all crunched down together. They all spread pretty nice, so I just kind of twisted a little bit at the end there, and it kept it out really nice, spreading out in that 360-degree pattern that we're looking for. So there's 2 of them. We've got a whole lot of these. We've got a whole lot of these. We've got plenty of soil. It's time to do some PA potting. We're almost done with all of our cuttings from the PA, and look at that nice radial pattern there on about 2/3 of the bottom of that. A little weak on this side, but nice radial root pattern there, flat. We're laying that in there, and we put the soil on it so it kind of makes it go downwards. And then that one is planted as well. A few more to go. I've come to the end of the line. We only have 2, 4, 6 that I didn't have to cut any roots off, which is good because these all had such long roots that I did have to cut them up even for these small containers, to have them fit in there nice, I had to make sure that they would fit better and keep that radial pattern, right? And if they were thicker on one side, I make sure I cut all those off and leave the weaker ones on the other side. One of the nice things about doing this now and getting them out of this big pot again is because I can look at all the roots, I can straighten some of them out if need be, and just promote that individual now radial root pattern all around these individual trees. But this last one, I'm going to go ahead and put some of these bigger ones. I got a couple of nice ones here that's divided a couple of times, a little bit thicker. We're going to put all that into one pot here as kind of a mini little forest. So let's get these in here. So there's 4 kind of situated here. And the last one, there's still life on that one. There's a little tiny root there. It doesn't look too promising, but we'll make that our 5th tree for this right here. So we got a nice big tall one here. Got another tall one over here. This one that's kind of nice and big. This one's kind of a little bit more stubbly. Is that a word? I'll have to ask Candace. Is stubbly a word? Probably just stubby. And there it is. And then this guy with just that one little root in there. It is a succulent after all, and it's going to go ahead and put out some more growth. There you go. So I lifted them up a little bit. So we have these 5 bigger ones just kind of hanging out in this pot right here. And we'll see what happens. And on this one, I'll go ahead and trim off the tip there, the tip there, the tip there, and we're just going to leave the rest. So as a recap on the PAs, these I'm going to give a little bit of water to because I did not cut any of the roots. These I cut all the roots, so we don't want them to have any root rot, so we're going to let them kind of settle into the new soil a little bit here, and they'll dry out over the next couple of days under the lights, and then we'll be able to give them a nice good watering in a couple of days here when the snowstorm is going crazy. It'll give me something to do. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23 that I root pruned. And I've got 6, that's 29, plus 5 more in here, 34. So 34, I probably had 2 or 3 die out of about 36 or so. I thought I had 3 dozen, and a lot of success with the cuttings of PA. So give it a try. I'm sure you'll have lots of luck. So I'm going to find a place for these back over here in a tray. I'm going to water these, and then we'll wrap it up maybe with an update. The update for today, the goldfish plant. So I just worked on these about a month or so ago, only a few weeks back, and this one's looking really sharp. Let me show you this one first. I had a little bit of damage over here. We might have cut this one a little too aggressively. It looks a little weak, but it might survive. If not, this will be the main branch. And it's a little, skinny and not much there, but we'll see what happens with that one. But look at the one in the new blue patina pot. This one is so fun, so cute. It's got some bumps and bruises and movement and all the buds on here, everybody. This is the exciting part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 on there. That's 10, 14, 18, 22, 26, 30. There are 30 little new buds on top here that are going to make this want to grow into a different direction, including these super little tiny ones here. There's even a really itty bitty one starting to grow right there by my finger, probably not on the camera viewable. Wow, this thing is really liking its new spot. And its new spot is right behind me here in the fish tank pot, right? So I've got this one right here next to all the new Portulacaria cuttings I just put, all the ones I had to water I put here in my tank. And then down here, I've got this guy right here sitting right in the middle, right below this great big set of lights right here, this one light, right? So get yourself some more light. If you think you have enough, grab some more. Get these in the light. I've added a little heat to my plant room now as we hit February, and boy, things are starting to take off a little bit. It's been fun. However, you have to keep track of some of those bugs too. I was just watching Nigel Saunders from the Bonsai Zone, and his plant room is so full he can't reach some of his plants. And he found a little bit of scale on a couple of trees he's been working on. And so when you can't get access to your trees, that can be a challenge. Now he's got so many trees he's working on and just trying to squeeze it all in. Give yourself enough room, check those trees regularly, and if you are going to add heat to your room, you might run into a few more bugs. So just a little warning there for you. But those are looking good. We got the Brush Cherry trimmed up today, and we got those Portulacarias, all 34 of them, into new planting situations. They should love life, and now this is free for a big tree maybe this spring or some more cuttings down the road. Hey, that's going to wrap it up. Again, filmed on President's Day. Happy President's Day, happy belated, and boy, when you're watching this, those first couple of days after I release this thing, I could be in the middle of a 12 to 18 inch snowstorm. Yeah, keep me in your thoughts as I shovel because I still haven't fixed my snowblower. Hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the other side of the storm. That's a guarantee.